Hi everyone. As you know that Python is an object-oriented programming language. So now in this video we are going to move to that part. We are going to see what is a class, what is an object, and how to create a class and how to create an object. And we are going to explore more about class in this video. So without any further delay, let's get into this. Here guys you can see I'm in a PyCharm and this is a lecture 19. So let's write here lecture 19. And now guys, first of all let's understand what is a class. Guys, class is nothing guys, it is a blueprint for an object. And if you want to create an object with some attributes and some methods, then you can create a class, and inside of that class you can define that attributes, that methods. So after creating class you can create n number of objects from that class. And now guys, I want to show you first of all how to create a class, how to create an object, and at the end of the video I assure you that you will have a better idea what is a class in Python and how we can create an object and how we can use a class in the code. So let's comment this and let's see how we can create a class. Guys, for creating a class, first of all you need to understand three things. The first thing is attribute, the second thing is method, and the third thing is constructor. Alright guys, so what is an attribute? So guys, when you define any variable in the class, that basically become an attribute. And when you define any function in the class, that will become a method. And guys, what is in constructor? Constructor is a special type of function, special type of method, which called by default when you create an object. So we are going to see these three things in the class. So let's create a class. I'm going to create a class with the name of person. And I believe that this is the best example for understanding someone that what is a class in a Python. So we have created a class with the name of person. Now what I am going to do, I am going to define some attribute. Before that I have to define a constructor here. So for defining a constructor, and I have told you that this is a special type of function or method. So I have to write a method define, and the special type means it has predefined name underscore underscore init underscore underscore. And guys, as soon as I put this bracket, you can see that I have got a self keyword. Basically this is a parameter you have to pass in your constructor, and this tells us that what are the attributes method you are going to have with this class. And you will get to know more about this when I write my code in this class. So just need to keep in mind that I have defined a parameter self, and that is a mandatory when you define any class, any constructor. So once I define these parameters, and if you want a more parameters, then you can write after this, but for now I am going to keep a single parameter. So now what I am going to do, I have created a constructor. Let me print that, print constructor of person class created. Alright, so now we are going to define some attributes. Attribute means some variables. So guys, there are some variables with a name, and I can define with the name also, but I have given some parameter in this constructor. This is a self, so I have to use a self in front of every variable to tell that this is variable of person class. So I have done that. Now I am going to say self.name is by default my name is xyz. Alright, and after that I'm going to say one more variable, means one more attribute, and that is self.age. Age is my attribute which is going to take by default age is 10. Alright, so we have seen what is an attribute. We have defined two attributes. We have seen what is a constructor. We have defined one constructor which is going to be called by default when we create an object. Now guys, we are going to see what is a method, and I have told you method is nothing, it is a function. If we write a function in a class, that will become a method. So I'm going to write a function print data, and I have write this function. As soon as I put a bracket, you will see that self is already coming here, so which is by default, because, and we have to put that because we all know that it is a person method. So once I put that, I can pass n number of argument here, but for now I am not going to pass any single argument. And here I am going to print some data. I'm going to print name. So I'm going to say name is, and I can use here self.name. Alright, and I can also print age. Print age is self.age. Guys, here you can see that I use a self keyword before every variable, which means that I can use anywhere in this class. I can use in any methods, in any function in the class. So basically this self keyword tell us that you can use that variable, that methods inside of the class anywhere. So now let's create an object of this class. So I'm going to create an object. So the object name I'm going to give obj, and you can create an object by just writing a person class name, and after that, and you have to put a bracket, and that basically a bracket for this constructor. And guys, here we haven't given a single parameter, so I'm going to keep it empty here. Once I have done that, I have called this constructor by default, and this constructor has been called, then we will get this print statement, and after that I will have initialized these two attribute inside of this class. And let's run this code and let's see what we get. And guys, you can see that I got constructor of person class created. So basically when we execute this 23 line, my constructor of this person class has called, and inside of this constructor we have a print statement which has been executed here. You guys can see that. And guys, it has also created two attributes with the name and age. We can access that. So I'm going to say print object dot name, and in the new line object dot age. So if I run this code now, and you guys can see that I can access xyz and I can see 10 also. So I am able to get this two data also. So basically we have created an object which is going to have two attribute, name and age, and the data in that is xyz and 10 by default. And also we have created one method. So this object is also able to call this method, and we can call that, let's call this, I'm going to say obj object dot print data. And once I call, let me comment this two line, we have seen how it's working. So now let's run this. You guys can see that first it called constructor because we are creating an object, and after that it moved to this method print data, and it has executed this two line. So we are getting name is xyz and age is 10, so which is by default this data. Now guys, let's try to change the data. I'm going to say before this print data method call obj dot name, which is I'm going to put code wrapped, and obj dot age I'm going to give 20. And if I execute this code, now guys, you can see that name is code wrapped and age is 20. It has changed. So basically this has changed for only this object, right? And for other object, if we have two or more object right now, then the data will be same xyz and 10. Only for this object, because we have changed the data only for this object, so the data changed for this object only. For other object, the data will be same. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another object obj2, and this is also person object class person, and I am going to call this method print data, and you guys can see the changes. So the first three line of object 1 and the next three line of object 2. Basically guys, you can see that in the first three line of code we can see that the name is code wrapped and age is 20, but in the next three line of code, if we have created another object, the attribute for them is going to be have a data xyz and 10. So I hope now you understood that we can create n number of objects like that, and we can change the data, we can set our data by our own desire. So now guys, we have seen these things, but now guys, let's see how we can pass a data in a constructor. So I'm going to comment these things, I'm going to comment these two lines, let's comment all these things. And now guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get two data from this constructor. So one data I'm going to get name, so I'm going to write n. For age I'm going to write a. Alright, so now I am going to create an object obj, and that is a person class object person, and now I can't keep here single empty bracket, I have to pass two data because I have defined the constructor here two variables. So now I am going to pass two data. The one data name I am going to pass, let's say code wrapped, and the second data I am going to pass 20. Fine. So we have passed two things, and now guys, what I am going to do, it's going to take n code wrap and a is 20. So I'm going to say my name is nothing, it's going to take a n, and a should take a. So whatever we are having this na, that is going to be take in name and age variable. So we have done these things. Now let's print our print data method object dot print data, and if I run this code now, you guys can see that constructor of person class created, name is code wrap, age is 20. So now name is code rep, age is 20, and I can create n number of object 2. Here I can say person. The name of that person is nothing, it's, let's say the person of name is programmer, and the age is 22. Alright. Now if I call the method for this object.print data, let me comment this line because we all know that this is going to be called every time. So now if I run this code, and you guys can see that we got name is code rep, age is 20 for object 1, and for object 2 name is programmer, age is 22. So this is how you can create n number of objects. You can set n number of attributes to the object. You can define n number of methods for an object. Now guys, we have seen these things. Now let's move to the next part of the class. Let's see the data hiding. So guys, let's comment this thing. Guys, before moving to the data hiding, first of all, let's try to assess the attribute of the class. So guys, you can see that here we have two attributes and one method, print data. So we are going to assess these two attributes. So let's assess that, how we can assess. So I'm going to create first of all an object of class person, and I have to pass two value here. So I'm going to pass code rep and 20. So once I have done, I know that my self.name is code rep and self.age is 20 for this object. Alright, now I want to assess the data. So I want to assess the self.name outside of this class. So how I can do that? I can say just write print obj.name. What it's going to do? It's going to assess the name from the class of this object. So if I run this code, you guys can see that I can get the data code rep. So what if guys we have some sensitive information in the class and we don't want that some user outside of the class should have a right to access this. So guys, we can assign the mode to the attribute. We can assign the private, we can set the public mode. So initially by default all the attributes are in public. We can access outside of the class, inside of the class also. But if you want to access some attributes private, then what you can do? Then you can use __. So let's see how we can do that. So guys, here I am going to assign private attribute. Let's say password. So this is my attribute, means variable. Initially the password is going to be, I am going to take from this method. So let's say p. So my password is going to be p, and I have to pass while creating the object. But guys, I want that no one should access this password variable outside of this class. And guys, if I put a single underscore here, then you can see that still we can access that. So I'm going to pass here one more thing, which is password, and let's say password is 12345. And if I want to try to access a name, alright, and if I want to access age, alright, and if I try to access a password, print obj.password. Alright, so if I run this code, so you guys can see that it printed name, which is code rep, age, which is 20, but it couldn't able to print the password because it is saying that person has no attribute password, but it has underscore password. So if I just write here underscore, and if I run this code, you guys can see that I can get my password value 12345. So still we are able to access the data, but we don't want that user should get this data. So what I can do that I can use instead of single underscore, I can use a double underscore. Once I have done this, I can't access this password variable. If I use a double underscore instead of single underscore, then also I could not able to get this data. If I run this code now, then also it's saying that person has no attribute with a double underscore password, with a single underscore, as well as with password variable. So now we have made our password variable private. No one can access this password data outside of this class. So now guys, if you want to access also, then how you can access that? So you can access by one way. You can say that print object name object dot underscore class name person underscore password. Once I have write these things, now if I execute this code, you guys can see that I can able to access my data. So this is how you can access your data if you want to access your private members. So this is all about data hiding. If you want to make your data private, then you can use double underscore, and if you want to make your data public, then it by default the data is in public mode. So guys, I hope you understood that what is data hiding, how to create a class, how to create an object. So in this video we have seen this. In the upcoming video we are going to see more about class. We will see inheritance in the class. So If you like this video, give a thumbs up to this video and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video. Thank you.